This video is sponsored by JumpShotTrainer.com. Perfect your jumper by using JumpShotTrainer.com, as their method is proven to increase your shooting accuracy by eliminating resistance from your offhand. You can learn more by using the link in the description box below. Yo, what is up guys? It's me, Zachary, back bringing you guys a little bit more NBA news, but we got a lot to talk about today, so let's not waste any time. Let's just get right into it. For our first story of the day, look, it's no secret that Gordon Hayward has been struggling big time to regain his all-star form so far this season. Now, we all knew coming into the season that it was gonna take a little bit of time for Gordon Hayward to find his rhythm, find his groove, get into the swing of things, after he had missed the entire 2017-2018 NBA season with that gruesome ankle injury. However, now that we are 20 games into the season, Gordon Hayward still hasn't looked very good. It doesn't even look like he's making much progress in his journey to return to his pre-injury form, as so far in the year, Hayward is only averaging just 10 points and 5 rebounds per game, while also not shooting the ball well at all, just 40% from the field and less than 30% from beyond the arc. And because of these struggles, the head coach of the Boston Celtics, Brad Stevens, has had no choice but to demote Gordon Hayward to a role coming off the bench in hopes that he can find himself coming off the bench, get into the groove of things coming off the bench. But so far, not even that has helped out, as Gordon Hayward has still been struggling coming off the Boston Celtics bench. And of course, this has to be just a tad bit concerning if you are a Boston Celtics fan, because of course you want to see Gordon Hayward get back to his all-star form, but at the same time, you're starting to grow impatient. Kyrie Irving, though, just offered Gordon Hayward some advice on what he thinks Hayward should do to get back to his all-star form, as he said that Hayward has to stop being so passive on the offensive end and look for his own shot more. Honestly, I think he's passing a little too much for Gordon's potential and his talent. I think coming up for the next few games, he'll be able to show some different things that he's been on for the start of the season, just being more aggressive offensively and looking for his shot more. We had practice yesterday and I told him, look for your shot more, get aggressive and get yourself going, because you are a great talent in this league and I don't want you to ever forget that. Of course, he does a great job coming off the pick and roll and making those passes, but I want him to be aggressive and score the basketball for us as well, because we are going to need it down the stretch. Kyrie Irving is 10 million% right here. Sometimes the only way that you're gonna find your rhythm as an offensive player in the NBA is just by letting it fly, jacking up as many shots as you possibly can. When Paul George came back from his leg injury a couple of years ago, he was able to get back to his regular Paul George form, because when he came back, he was able to just play like he was playing before. He didn't look very good at first, he was clearly rusty, but he kept shooting, he kept playing the same way, and eventually he started to look like Paul George once again. Gordon Hayward, on the other end, has been a completely different story, and I think Gordon Hayward's simply trying to do way too much here. He's making this more complicated than it needs to be. Not only is Gordon Hayward trying to get himself back into rhythm, get himself back into that all-star form, but he's also trying to do that while at the same time not trying to step on the toes of all of his other teammates. He's not trying to make it about himself. He's trying to do whatever he thinks he has to do to get this Boston Celtics team wins. But what he doesn't realize is the best thing for the Boston Celtics isn't him being passive, isn't him taking his time in this rehab and getting back to his full form. What will be best for the Boston Celtics is if Hayward did go out there and jack up shot after shot after shot, game after game after game, even if the Celtics wind up losing the games, if Gordon Hayward in those games goes 5 of 20 from the field. Because if this Boston Celtics team is ever going to reach its full potential this year, then Gordon Hayward is gonna have to start playing like Gordon Hayward, and who knows how long or if he will ever get there with how he's been approaching trying to get back to his all-star form thus far this season. Next up in the news, the Markelle Fultz Philadelphia 76ers situation continues to get stranger and stranger, as now we are getting reports out saying that the Sixers just want Fultz to be upfront and honest about what is going on with his shoulder. And I guess this is because teams are now interested in trading for Markelle Fultz. Before they make an offer and trade for Fultz, they want to know whether or not this injury is mental or if it's an actual physical injury. Markelle Fultz's trade value has dwindled, but there is a market for him under a certain condition. He and his representatives need to be truthful, a league source says. In other words, potential 76ers trade partners don't want Fultz saying that his right shoulder and wrist are bothering him if he actually has a mental block that's hindering his shooting. Now, first off, I can fully understand where teams are coming from. Of course, they're gonna want to know what the heck is up with Markelle Fultz before they start trying to trade for Markelle Fultz. If it's a physical injury, then how bad are we talking about? What's the recovery process really looking like? If it's a mental problem, then really, who knows how long it will take Markelle Fultz to get back to the player that he was coming out of college. And personally, I think it's more of a mental thing, but then again, no one can really say for sure. And overall, I just really don't know what to say about the situation anymore. For the past year, literally no one has had any clue what's going on with Markelle Fultz. Even the Philadelphia 76ers, that's why they're asking Markelle Fultz to be honest. If they knew, they wouldn't have to be asking Markelle Fultz, so clearly they have no clue what's going on, and maybe they never did. So Fultz, if you know what happened, if you know what's wrong, come clean. Just do it. Put this all behind you. Next up in the news, the Orlando Magic are looking to shake things up a little bit, it seems. As according to reports, Orlando has its eyes set on second-year player Frank Ntilikina from the New York Knicks. And I guess the Magic are so interested in Frank Ntilikina that they've already sent scouts to New York to watch him play. The Magic have shown some interest in Knicks point guard Frank Ntilikina. Orlando has a scout in Philadelphia Wednesday night to watch Ntilikina. The article also went on to say that this isn't the first time that teams have expressed interest in Ntilikina, and over the summer a few times approached the Knicks about a possible trade. However, the Knicks insisted that they weren't interested in moving him. But that was before the season. We're now 20 games into the season, and from what I've seen in these first 20 games from the New York Knicks, I'd be surprised if they weren't willing to move Frank Ntilikina, because as of late, his minutes have been dwindling and his play hasn't been improving. He hasn't made the jump from year 1 to year 2 that I'm sure the Knicks and Knicks fans would like to see. And not only that, but their guard situation and forward situation is extremely crowded right now. For example, they have Emmanuel Mudiay, a player that the head coach of the Knicks, Dave Fizdale, really likes. He has a lot of faith and confidence in Mudiay that he can develop into a really good player. So he's kind of the favorite over Frank Ntilikina. And then they also have Trey Burke and Tim Hardaway Jr. at the guard positions too. And we all know their forward of the future is supposed to be Kevin Knox. So no one's really sure where Frank Ntilikina fits in with the New York Knicks for their long-term plan, or even if he's going to be part of their long-term plan. What I want to know though is what would the Orlando Magic be willing to give up to get Frank Ntilikina, and how highly the New York Knicks still value him. And for what will actually be our final story of the day, of course, Kyle Korver was traded to the Utah Jazz late last night in exchange for Alec Burks and 2 future second-round picks. Now, this wasn't the biggest trade in the world by any means, but it was a trade nonetheless. And I guess it was a trade that has a few Cavs players a little bit in their feelings, as we are getting reports out saying that some veterans on the Cleveland Cavaliers are not happy with this trade at all. Multiple Cavs players are upset with the trading of Korver, as this is a team with very little outside shooting. Korver's only averaging 6.8 points per game, but he's still shooting 46% from outside, and this is one of the greatest three-point shooters in NBA history. Subtracting him from the team only makes it harder to win games, they feel. Every single time we get an article out regarding something going on with the Cleveland Cavaliers this year, it's always the same thing. At first, it was the veterans blaming the rookie Colin Sexton for why they've been so bad this year. I got upset about that because how you gonna blame a rookie for being trash when you're just inherently trash? And now we got this. Like, did the veterans on the Cleveland Cavaliers legit think Kyle Korver was the answer to saving them this season? Did they think with Kyle Korver on that team, they would have a shot at making it to the NBA playoffs? Why are you going to be mad about Kyle Korver being traded away because you're trying to win, when clearly the organization isn't trying to win? And even if the organization was trying to win, winning would still be impossible. And I'm fairly certain that the veteran they're talking about here, the veteran the Cleveland Cavaliers keep referring to, is Tristan Thompson, because he was the one before the season started talking about we're still the best team in the East until someone comes along and proves otherwise, and he was dead serious about that. So I really think Tristan Thompson is having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that LeBron James was the only reason the Cleveland Cavaliers won more than 15 or 20 games last year. But that though is going to do it for everything that we got to talk about today. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, go ahead and hit that like button, as well as, consider subscribing to the channel so you can stay up to date with everything that goes on in the NBA on a daily basis. Thank you once again for watching though. You guys already know that you are the real MVPs, and until tomorrow, I'm out of here. Peace.